Valve is back, and they're bringing back the Steam Machine, a dedicated living room PC / gaming device that promises 4K 60 FPS with FSR, runs SteamOS, and is supposedly 6 times more powerful than the Steam Deck. But with a new generation of consoles and PC hardware now being more accessible than ever, the big question is, should you buy this new Steam Machine instead of a traditional PC or something like a PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X? Let's find out. First things first, let's clarify what we're even talking about. This isn't your grandpa's Steam Machine from 2015. No, this is Valve's second attempt at a dedicated living room PC, and this time they're building the hardware themselves, much like they have done with the very popular Steam Deck. So it's coming in a compact cube form factor shaped mini PC that's about 6 inches, with the supply being built right in. Essentially, it's designed to plug into your TV running SteamOS 3, the same Linux-based operating system that powers the Steam Deck. The goal? Well, this is to give you a console-like plug-and-play experience for your entire Steam library, but with the power and the flexibility of a PC. So let's skip straight to the exciting or interesting bit. What's actually under the hood of this little cube? Valve has shared some pretty exciting specs. So in terms of CPU, there's a semi-custom AMD Zen 4 with 6 cores and 12 threads, boosting up to 4.8 GHz. The GPU is again a semi-custom AMD RDNA 3 with 28 compute units and 8GB of DDR6 VRAM. This is roughly equivalent to a mid-range desktop GPU from the current generation. And when it comes to RAM, there's 16GB of DDR5, and that is SO-DIMM RAM, which is also upgradable. Storage, it comes in two options here, so you've got 512GB and 2TB SSD options, with an expandable micro SD slot and support for swapping over those NVMEs if you want to. Basically, the performance that they're going for is 4K 60 FPS with FSR upscaling and full ray tracing support. This is actually a quite significant leap from the Steam Deck itself. In terms of connectivity, it's packed with ports. So you have DisplayPort 1.4, HDMI 2.0, USB-C and multiple USB-A ports. You've got gigabit Ethernet, Wi-Fi 6 compatibility, and in terms of Bluetooth, it's at 5.3. They're also launching the new Steam Deck controller alongside it, which features magnetic thumbsticks, dual trackpads, and haptics designed for low latency wireless play. Now, if you're sat there thinking, didn't Valve try this before and fail? Then you would be 100% right. But this time, there are some crucial differences. One, Valve is the sole manufacturer, so there's no more confusing lineup of third-party boxes. This is a single, Valve-designed and supported product. Two, you have a more mature SteamOS now, and a Proton on top of that. The biggest hurdle for the original Steam Machine was Linux game compatibility, but now, thanks to years of development of the Steam Deck, Proton allows the vast majority of Windows games to run flawlessly on SteamOS itself. 3. You have a proven concept. The Steam Deck itself has shown that a dedicated SteamOS device can be incredibly successful. The new Steam Machine is essentially a more powerful but non-portable version of that proven formula. 4. Basically clearer performance goals. The original machines were a little bit all over the place. This new one has a clear target, solid 4K 60 FPS experience for your TV. Now, for the even bigger question. If you are a PC gamer, why would you even consider this over building your own rig? Well, here are some of the advantages that come with the Steam Machine. So it's simplicity. It's plug and play, there are no Windows installs or driver hunting or even troubleshooting. You just boot into SteamOS and play. Next, you have form factor. It's tiny and designed for the living room or to perch quite neatly on your desk. It's much smaller than most gaming PCs, and of course you've got that optimized OS. SteamOS is purposely built for gaming, potentially offering better performance in Windows in some cases from early testing, especially on the lower end hardware. Then you have cost, potentially. If Valve prices this aggressively, it could offer a great performance per pound or dollar ratio compared to building a similar spec PC from scratch. If I were to speculate here, I believe the price based on specs could be around the same ballpark as a PS Pro, but we also have to think about the advantages of building a custom PC yourself. So with building the custom PC, you have flexibility. You choose every component, allowing for maximum customization, upgrades, and future-proofing. Then you have more raw power, so you can always build a more powerful PC than the Steam machine at any time, depending on your budget. You next have the Windows ecosystem, which has full compatibility with all the game software and peripherals without Proton. You're also able to mod and tinker, so you have early access for deep system modifications and overclocking. So my verdict based on this is, if you love tinkering, want the absolute best performance, or need Windows for other tasks, a custom PC is still king. But if you want a powerful, hassle-free PC for your TV, the Steam machine is a very, very strong contender. Console crowd, I haven't forgotten you. So how does this stack up against a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X? So, some of the advantages of the Steam machine. You have that open ecosystem and access to your entire Steam library, often with a wider variety of games and sales. You also have that backward compatibility. Your Steam library goes back decades, unlike consoles where generations often break compatibility, although in all honesty this has got better over the last few years. Then you have modding. Although it's limited and not as open as Windows, SteamOS allows for more modding and customization than the consoles that are out there at the moment. You're also getting that PC-like performance. The specs suggest it could outperform current gen consoles, especially when you take into consideration that Zen 4 CPU and RDNA 3 GPU, because it's targeting 4K 60fps with FSR. However, let's look at the advantages of the PS5 or Xbox. So obviously you have exclusives for each console and games that you just can't play elsewhere. You still have simplicity, so consoles are still arguably the most straightforward plug and play experience out there. You've also got more established ecosystems with familiar UIs, friends lists, and online services. So my verdict on this is, if you're heavily invested in console exclusive, stick with your console. But if you want a console-like experience with the vastness and the openness of PC gaming, the Steam machine offers a compelling alternative. Potentially, we'll see, with better performance than current gen consoles. Now for the big head-to-head, Steam machine versus Steam Deck docked. So, many of you might already own a Steam Deck and dock it to your TV. So why would you upgrade to a Steam machine? Well, let's talk about some of the advantages. One, you've got significantly more power. Valve states it's going to be 6 times more powerful than the Steam Deck itself. What this means for you in terms of performance is higher resolutions, better frame rates, and ray tracing capabilities that the Deck just can't touch. On top of that, you've got the dedicated living room device. So there's no more need to constantly dock and undock. It's ready for your TV whenever. You've also got better cooling. So a larger form factor allows for more robust cooling, means basically sustained performance without throttling. And actually, Valve have gone out of their way to custom build the one fan that sits inside the cube to optimize airflow and keep everything whisper quiet. So you do have that upgradability to the NVMe standard. The Steam Deck itself does actually allow you to do this, so we will have to see how easy it is to remove from the Steam machine. But let's look at some of the advantages over Steam Deck. Obviously, the big one is portability. It's a handheld, you can take your games anywhere and everywhere. But another one we have to look at is this is likely going to be significantly cheaper than the new Steam machine. But you could see an increase in performance compared to Windows, as SteamOS itself should allow for more FPS. So what's my verdict? If you primarily play on your TV and want a major performance boost over a docked Steam Deck, the Steam machine is a clear upgrade. But if portability is your priority, the Steam Deck itself still reigns pretty supreme. So it wouldn't be fair if I didn't shine a light on some of the disadvantages of the new Steam machine. So to recap and to add to, yes, you have limited upgradability versus a full PC. Yes, some parts are going to be upgradable. So RAM is DDR5 SO-DIMM and reportedly going to be upgradable. And of course, you can expand storage with NVMe plus a micro SD. The NVMe is going to be a 2230 form factor, but will support 2280 with the included standoff. So the easiest storage expansion would probably be the micro SD card or SDXC card, which are available up to 2 gigabytes, but you'll want to pick a speedier one at 100 megabytes per second for optimal performance. But realistically, if we were to be honest, you're not swapping the CPU or the GPU. It's a semi-custom APU style design, so you are locked into Valve's power and cooling envelope itself. Another thing that we have to look at is, unlike a tower PC, you can't just throw in a new graphics card in 3 years. It's long term, it's more like a console, so what you buy is what you have and you have to stick with. We also have to look at SteamOS and Proton. They are way better than they were in 2015, but there is still potential for issues, unfortunately. So with this, some anti-cheat or service-heavy games might not work or be finicky. So if you're a big fan of Fortnite or Battlefield 6, you may need to consider that. You also need to look at launchers and third-party stores like EA, Ubisoft. They can still be more of a hassle on Linux than on Windows itself. So if you want full compatibility, you may still end up installing Windows on it, which in all honesty does partially defeat the just works angle. So for most Steam games, it'll be fine, but it's not the same guarantees that you get with a Windows PC. And here's the elephant in the room. We don't actually have any pricing yet. Valve has stated that pricing will be announced closer to its launch in 2026. So if it follows the same pattern as the Steam Deck, they announced it around this time and then they launched it in around February of the following year. So you could assume that they would do the same this time around. The value proposition of this device hinges entirely on its price, obviously. If it's priced competitively with current gen consoles, so around the $500 to $600 mark, it could be a massive hit. But if it's closer to entry-level gaming PCs, so $800 to £1,000 or dollars, it faces much stiffer competition from custom builds and pre-builts that basically offer more flexibility or raw power. Valve has a history of aggressive pricing with the Steam Deck, so there is hope, but we will have to wait and see in early next year. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to leave you with one question. What do you think about Valve's new Steam machine? Are you excited, or do you think it's doomed to repeat history? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you enjoyed this breakdown, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more PC hardware content, and ring that bell for notifications so that you don't miss out on my next video. And remember, if you want to support the channel, you can actually buy me a coffee or browse the PC building gear and goodies in my Ko-fi shop. The link is in the description. Thanks again ever so much for watching. Take care, and I will catch you on the next one.